Hello everyone, welcome back to chapter 3. In the previous video we understood aggregate demand, aggregate supply and the equilibrium level of income. Today we will answer another important question. Whenever people earn income, do they spend all of it? The answer is of course no. Some income is spent on buying goods and services while the remaining part is saved for the future needs. This simple idea forms the basic of today's lesson. We'll understand how income is divided into consumption and saving. Then we'll learn 4 very important concepts: APC, MPC, APS and MPS. These formulas are very frequently asked in CBSE Board Examination and are also useful for numerical later in the chapter. So by the end of this lesson, you will be able to solve these questions very confidently. Let's begin with the consumption function. Every person earns income. But does everyone spend all of their income? The answer is no. Whenever we receive income, we usually divide into 2 parts. One part is spent on goods and services like food, clothes, electricity bills, school fees, transportation and entertainment. The remaining part is saved for the future use. The consumption function explains the relationship between person's income and consumption expenditure. So in simple words, it tells us how consumption changes when income changes. So C is equals to A plus BY. You must be wondering what are these alphabets. So here C represents consumption expenditure, Y represents income, the letter A is called autonomous consumption. This is the minimum level of consumption that takes place even when the income is zero. For example, a family may still need food, medicines and electricity. Even if they temporarily have no income, they may still borrow money or use their past savings to meet their essential expenses. The letter B represents the marginal propensity to consume. It shows how much additional consumption takes place when income increases. Let's understand with a simple example. Suppose your monthly income is 40,000. You spend 32,000. The remaining amount will be 8,000 that you will save. Now your income increases to 50,000. Will you spend the entire 10,000 extra? People might not. So you may spend only 7,000 extra and save the remaining 3,000. This shows that consumption increases as income increases, but it usually increases by a smaller amount than the increase in income. So this is the basic idea of consumption function. Now let's study the saving function. Saving simply means the part of income that is not spent on consumption. Whenever we earn income, we first spend on essential and personal needs. Whatever remains after consumption is called savings. The formula is very simple. S equals to Y minus C. As I told you already, Y means income. So it means savings equals to income minus consumption. Let's take our example. Suppose your monthly income is 60,000. If you spend 45,000 on food, rent, transport, education and other expenses, then your remaining saving will be 60,000 minus 45,000, that is 15,000. Now imagine your income increases to 80,000. Will your consumption increase? Of course yes. But will you spend the entire 20,000 extra? Usually not. Most people increase both their consumption and their savings. This is why economists say that savings generally increase as income increases. Now remember an important relationship. Income equals to consumption plus saving. This equation can be rearranged at saving equals to income minus consumption. These equations are extremely important because they are usually repeatedly throughout this chapter. Now let's study our first propensity concept, that is average propensity to consume or APC. The word average means per unit of income. So APC tells us what proportion of total income is spent on consumption. The formula is APC is equals to consumption divided by income. Let's understand this with an example. Suppose a family's monthly income is 50,000. Out of this pay, they spend 40,000 and save remaining 10,000. Now using the formula APC is equals to 40,000 divided by 50,000, that gives you 0.8. So this means the family spends 80% of their income on consumption. Now imagine another family earning 1 lakh and spending 70,000. Now APC would be 0.7. So this shows that smaller proportion of income is being spent on consumption. Usually, as income increases, people save a large part of their income. So APC may gradually decrease. Remember, APC is based on total consumption and total income, so not to increase in income. Many students confuse APC and MPC, so keep this difference in mind. APC uses total values. Now let's understand marginal propensity to consume. The word marginal means additional or change. MPC tells us how much of the additional income is spent on additional consumption. Let's take an example. Suppose your income increases from 40,000 to 50,000. Your income has increased by 10,000. Now, suppose your consumption increases from 32,000 to 39,000. Your consumption has increased by 7,000. So, using the formula, MPC is equals to change in consumption divided by change in income. So, here, change in consumption is 7,000, change in income is 10,000. So, it gives us 0.7. So, this means out of additional 1 earned, 70 paisa is spent on consumption while the remaining 30 paisa is saved. This concept is extremely important because it is later used in the multiplier formula that we will study in the next part of the chapter. So, remember, APC uses total values, MPC uses change in values. Now let's move to average propensity to save. APS tells us what proportion of total income is saved. The formula is simple. APS is equals to savings divided by income. Suppose a person earns 60,000 and saves 12,000. Then APS is equals to 12,000 divided by 60,000, that is 0.2. This means the person saves 20% of the total income. Notice something interesting. If APC is 0.8 and APS is 0.2, their sum becomes 1. We'll use this relationship in the next slide. Finally, let's understand marginal propensity to save. MPS tells us how much of additional income is saved. Suppose your income increases by 10,000. Instead of spending everything, you save 3,000. Using the formula, MPS is equals to change in savings divided by change in income. So that is 30,000 divided by 10,000, which gives us 0.3. This means out of additional 1 earned, 30 paisa is saved. Now remember the most important relationship in this topic. Whenever income increases, additional income is either consumed or saved. So therefore, MPC plus MPS is equals to 1. So if MPC is 0.8, MPS must be 0.2. If MPC is 0.6, MPS must be 0.4. So this relationship is frequently used in board exam numericals. Now let's connect all 4 concepts together. Many students try to memorize APC, APS, MPC, MPS separately, but that's not necessary if you understand their relationship. Let's begin with APC and APS. Suppose a person's income is 1 lakh. They spent 80,000 and saved 20,000. So APC is equals to 80,000 divided by 1 lakh, which is 0.8. APS is equals to 20,000 divided by 1 lakh, that is 0.2. So now add them. 0.8 plus 0.2 gives us 1. So this is always true because total income is divided into only 2 parts, either consumption and saving. Now let's understand MPC and MPS. Suppose income increases by 10,000. Out of this additional income, a person spends 7,000 and saves 3,000. So MPC is equals to 7,000 divided by 10,000, which is 0.7. MPS is equals to 3,000 divided by 10,000, that is 0.3. So again 0.7 plus 0.3 gives us 1. So this is always true because every additional rupee earned is either spent or saved. Now here's easiest way to remember everything. If the question gives you APC, you can find APS by subtracting it from 1. Similarly, if the question gives you MPC, you can find MPS by subtracting it from 1. For example, if MPC is 0.75, then MPS will be 1.0 minus 0.75, which is 0.25. So this trick saves exam time in your board examination. So remember, APC plus APS is 1 and MPC plus MPS is equals to 1. Let's revise everything we have learned today. The first formula is income is equals to consumption plus saving. That is the foundation of the entire chapter. From this we get savings is equals to income minus consumption. Next, remember the 4 propensity formulas. Average concept uses total values. Marginal concept always uses change in values. Finally, remember the 2 golden relationships. APC plus APS is always equals to 1. MPC plus MPS is always equals to 1. So if you understand these formulas instead of memorizing them, solving numericals become much easier. So I recommend writing these formulas on a separate page and revising them every day before your board examination. So before ending today's lesson, let's check how much you have understood. Pause the video and try solving these questions without looking at your notes. The first 2 questions test your formulas. The next 2 test whether you can apply those formulas in simple numericals. If you are able to solve them correctly, you have built a strong foundation for the rest of this chapter. So in our next video, we will study investment and the equilibrium level of income in detail. We will also learn how aggregate demand and aggregate supply work together to determine national income and solve CBSE style questions. So if you found this lesson helpful, please like the video, subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in part 3. Till then, keep loving, keep studying. Bye bye.